Growing up, there was nothing better than grabbing a cold, yummy popsicle from the freezer on a hot summer day. But these days, I love making my own homemade popsicles year-round. Honestly, they're just so much more satisfying when they're fresh, nutritious, and made with real fruit and wholesome ingredients. Plus, I get to control exactly what goes into them, so no artificial flavors or mystery ingredients like you'd often find in store-bought popsicles. And they taste way better too. The best part is with a few simple tips, you can get that soft and smooth texture that's easy to bite into, not icy and rock hard like a lot of homemade versions tend to turn out. Today, I'll be sharing 6 of my favorite popsicle recipes that you can easily customize with your favorite flavors and ingredients. Let's get into it. First, let's go over a few quick tips on how you can get that soft, biteable popsicle texture, just like the ones you'd find in stores. If you've ever tried freezing juice on its own, you've probably noticed that it turns out super icy and hard. That's because thin liquids freeze solid and don't have enough body to create that soft texture. To fix this, use a thicker base like blended whole fruits, or Greek yogurt, coconut milk, or nut butter if you want a creamier feel. The extra fiber or fat helps prevent iciness and gives the popsicles a smooth, creamy bite. Sweeteners also help soften the texture. Natural sugars like those in ripe fruit, or honey, maple syrup, or agave lower the freezing point, which makes the popsicles softer and easier to bite into. But if you really want to use juice instead of whole fruits, there's still a trick. Just add unflavored gelatin powder, which is what's used to make jello. Stir 1 teaspoon of gelatin into a quarter cup of water, let it sit for a few minutes, and then microwave for 10 to 15 seconds to dissolve. Then just mix that into 2 to 2.5 cups of juice. This is an easy way to keep juice-only popsicles from turning into rock-solid ice blocks. And one last tip, always taste your mixture before freezing. Freezing naturally mutes the flavors, so you want your mixture to taste slightly sweeter and more intense than you'd expect. That way, once it's frozen, the flavor still comes through. Next, let's go over some equipment we'll need. Popsicle molds make it simple to get that classic popsicle shape. You can use plastic molds, but I personally prefer silicone molds like this. It's got a sturdy base that won't tip over easily, and a soft, flexible material that makes it easy to push the popsicles out. It's got a lid that's easy to remove, limits air exposure, and holds the sticks upright while they freeze. This mold makes 10 3-ounce pops, so all my recipes are scaled to about 30 ounces of mixture. If your mold is smaller, just scale the recipe down. If you're interested in the mold that I'm using, I've got it linked in the description box below. If you don't have a popsicle mold, you can use muffin tins, paper cups, shot glasses, or even ice cube trays. As a quick tip, cover whatever you're using with some tin foil, and then poke a hole through the center before inserting your popsicle stick. This will help keep it upright and centered. You'll also want a good high-speed blender or food processor to blend everything smoothly for these recipes. I love using my Vitamix because it's powerful enough to blend frozen fruits, but a NutriBullet is a great affordable option too. For our first recipe, I'm going to show you how to make an easy 4-ingredient fruit popsicle with a bright, refreshing green kiwi flavor, but you can easily adapt this to whatever fruits you like. When it comes to fruit popsicles, I always suggest using real fruit over just juice. Whole fruit keeps the fiber and nutrients intact, adds natural sweetness, and gives you a thicker, creamier texture. First, into a blender, let's start by adding 1.5 cups of liquid. I like using coconut water as my base. It's light, naturally sweet, and super hydrating, but feel free to use fruit juice like apple or orange for more sweetness, or yogurt if you're going for a more creamy popsicle. Then, you'll need about 3 cups of fruit here. I'm using 4 sliced kiwis, but feel free to swap in whatever fruit you like. I prefer using fresh fruit because it tends to blend more smoothly. Just make sure it's nice and ripe. Frozen fruit is a great option too, since it's picked at peak ripeness and super convenient. Just thaw it first so it blends easily. Then I'm adding 3 to 4 tablespoons of honey as my natural sweetener. As I mentioned earlier, a bit of sugar helps lower the freezing point, which gives you softer, easier to eat popsicles. You can also use maple syrup or agave, whatever you prefer. Let's then add 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. I always recommend adding a splash of citrus like lemon or lime juice because it brightens the flavor and balances the sweetness of the fruits. Then all we need to do is blend everything together until completely smooth. As I mentioned before, freezing will dull the flavors a bit, so give the mixture a quick taste before freezing and then adjust as needed. It should taste a little sweeter and stronger than how you want the final popsicle to be. Then simply pour the mixture into your popsicle molds. Make sure to leave about a 1/4 inch of space at the top as the liquid will expand once it freezes. Then pop on the lid, insert the popsicle sticks, and then throw this into the freezer for at least 6 hours or overnight if you can. Once it's done, in order to release the popsicles, run or submerge the mold under warm water for about 10 to 15 seconds. The popsicles should slide right out with a gentle pull. These green kiwi fruit pops are bright, flavorful, and naturally sweetened with real fruit and honey. Thanks to the fiber and texture of the whole fruits, they're soft enough to bite into, just like store-bought but so much better for you. And remember, you can customize them with whatever fresh or frozen fruits you have on hand. Just keep the proportions the same and scale the recipe up or down to match your mold size or the number of popsicles you're making. When it comes to storage, I recommend cutting up a small piece of parchment paper and wrapping each popsicle in it to prevent sticking. Then you can place the wrapped popsicles in an airtight freezer-safe bag or container and seal it to prevent freezer burn. Try not to leave the popsicles in their mold for too long. They're not airtight and can lead to freezer burn over time. If stored properly, these can keep in the freezer for up to 2 to 3 months, making them perfect for batch prepping ahead of time. For our next recipe, I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful layered popsicle with 2 flavors, with this delicious strawberry mango fruit pop. We'll follow a similar format as before, except this time we're blending each flavor separately. Starting with the strawberry layer, let's add a 3/4 cup of coconut water to a blender, along with 1.5 cups of fresh strawberries, 1.5 tablespoons of honey or your choice of sweetener, and 1 teaspoon of lemon juice to brighten things up. Blend everything thoroughly until completely smooth and make sure to give it a quick taste. Then let's grab our popsicle mold and pour the strawberry mixture roughly halfway up each mold. Because this is quite liquidy, I'm going to throw it in the freezer with the lid on for about an hour to let it thicken up a bit. When the hour is almost up, let's take 2 medium mangoes and chop them up until we get about 1.5 cups of mango chunks. Then into our blender that I've quickly rinsed, let's add a 3/4 cup of coconut water, along with our 1.5 cups of mango chunks, 1.5 tablespoons of honey, and 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. Again, blend everything thoroughly until smooth and give it a quick taste. Then once our hour is up, our popsicle mixture should now be thick enough for us to add our mango mixture with separation right on top, without the 2 layers blending in together. Then pop the lid on with our popsicle sticks and freeze for at least 6 hours or overnight. When it's done freezing, run the mold under warm water for about 10 to 15 seconds to release the popsicles. They should easily slide right out. Because we gave the first layer a quick freeze first, the strawberry and mango layers stay nicely separated, giving you this beautiful contrast in color and flavor. Now you've got a refreshing strawberry mango popsicle made with real fruit and a soft, biteable texture. It's the best of both worlds, tropical and tart in one frozen treat. I'm a big fan of this flavor combo, but feel free to swap in your favorite fruits instead. Now if you're a big fan of creamy chocolate fudgsicles, I'll show you how to make a rich homemade version with just a few simple ingredients. Into our blender, let's start by adding 1.5 cups of full-fat Greek yogurt. Or for a vegan option without the tang, you can swap this for 1 13-ounce can of full-fat coconut milk. Next, add 1 cup of almond milk or any milk you prefer, along with a 1/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder. To sweeten, we'll use 1/3 cup of honey, plus 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and a pinch of salt to bring out the chocolate flavor. To take this up a notch, I like adding 1/3 cup of dark chocolate chips melted in the microwave, which gives a deeper and richer chocolate taste. If you'd rather skip the chocolate chips, just use an extra 1/4 cup of cocoa powder instead. Blend everything together until completely smooth. Then pour the mixture into your popsicle mold, leaving about 1/4 inch of space at the top. Pop on the lid, insert the sticks, and freeze for at least 6 hours or overnight. Once frozen, loosen the mold with some warm water so that the popsicles release easily. These Fudgsicle bars are super creamy, rich in chocolate flavor, and totally customizable to suit your tastes with a few simple swaps. And honestly, they're so much better than the versions you buy at the store that are often loaded with a ton of unnecessary ingredients. Store these in an airtight bag or container in the freezer, and they'll keep for up to 2 months, so you can make a bunch of these to enjoy anytime. Next up is a deliciously creamy and super customizable yogurt berry popsicle, made with just 3 simple ingredients. First, for the base, you'll need 2 cups of Greek yogurt. Plain vanilla or honey all work really well. I like using full-fat yogurt because it's thick and creamy, but use whatever works best for you. Next, we're going to add 3 cups of fruit. I'm using a mix of blueberries and strawberries, but you can use just about any fruit you like, whether it's mangoes, peaches, bananas, apples, or a mix. It's super flexible. Then add 3 to 4 tablespoons of honey as our natural sweetener. You can adjust this depending on how sweet you like your popsicles. Blend everything together until smooth, give it a quick taste and adjust as needed. Then pour the mixture into your popsicle molds, leaving about 1/4 inch of space at the top to allow for expansion. Pop on the lid, insert our popsicle sticks, and throw it in the freezer for at least 6 hours or overnight. When it's done freezing, loosen up the popsicles with a bit of warm water as needed, and then slide them right out. You've now got a deliciously smooth, creamy and fruity yogurt popsicle with the bright flavors of real berries. The yogurt gives it that soft, biteable texture, and it's packed with nutrients from using real whole fruits, all with just 3 ingredients. These will keep in the freezer for up to 2 months when stored in an airtight bag or container, making them great for prepping ahead, so you can grab one from the freezer whenever a craving hits. Our next recipe is a childhood favorite of mine. If you're like me and you love orange creamsicles, then you've got to try this healthier homemade version. First, let's start with a 13.5 ounce can of full-fat coconut milk for that creamy base, or you can swap this with 1.5 cups of Greek yogurt if you'd like. We're then going to need about 2 large or 3 medium-sized oranges. Navel oranges are a great choice for that classic citrus flavor, but mandarins work well too. You'll want about 1 teaspoon of zest to boost the orange flavor. Then, let's peel and cut up the oranges until we have about 1.5 cups of orange segments. Let's add these into our blender. Next, add 3 to 4 tablespoons of honey or your sweetener of choice, along with 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract for that classic creamsicle flavor. Blend everything together until smooth, and don't forget to give it a quick taste. Remember, freezing mutes flavors, so it should taste slightly sweeter and stronger than you'd like it to be when frozen. Pour the mixture into the popsicle molds, leaving about 1/4 inch of space at the top. Add the lid, insert your sticks, and freeze for at least 6 hours or overnight. Once frozen, loosen up the popsicles with a bit of warm water if needed, and then slide them right out. These orange creamsicles are so nostalgic, a total throwback to my childhood, and always a huge hit with both kids and adults. Unlike store-bought versions, these are made with 100% real fruit, with no artificial flavors or colors, and are naturally sweetened to your tastes. Store them in an airtight bag or container in the freezer, and they'll keep for up to 2 months, perfect for whenever you're craving a cool, refreshing treat that's bursting with citrus. Our last recipe is what I like to call a hidden veggie popsicle, because it sneaks in vegetables in a way you won't even taste. The formula here is simple: 1.5 cups of liquid, 2 cups of sweet fruits, 1 cup of mild-tasting veggies, 3 to 4 tablespoons of natural sweetener, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Here I'll be making 2 layers with different flavors, so I'll be splitting these amounts in half for each one. The key to making these taste great is using naturally sweet fruits like pineapples, mangoes, apples, or bananas to help mask the taste of the vegetables. You'll also want to use vegetables that are milder in flavor and blend in easily. Spinach, carrots, and zucchini are all great options. I also like adding a bit of citrus juice to brighten up the flavor and keep it fresh. Let's start with our orange flavor. In a blender, combine half a cup of coconut water, 1/4 cup of orange juice, 1 cup of pineapple chunks, half a cup of chopped carrot, 1.5 tablespoons of honey, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Blend until smooth, and then pour the mixture into your popsicle molds to fill them about halfway up. Pop on the lid and throw it in the freezer for about an hour to let it thicken up. When the hour is almost up, let's make our green layer. Into our blender, add half a cup of coconut water, 1/4 cup of lemon juice, half a cup of chopped green apple, half a cup of spinach, 1.5 tablespoons of honey, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Blend everything together until completely smooth. Let's take our popsicle mold out of the freezer and pour our green mixture to top off each mold, leaving a bit of space to allow for expansion. Place the lid on, insert your popsicle sticks, and then freeze for at least 6 hours. When they're fully frozen, loosen them up with a bit of warm water as needed, and then slide the popsicles right out. You'll get a beautiful layered effect with an orange pineapple carrot layer on top and a green apple lemonade spinach layer on the bottom. You can experiment with different combinations. Just try to use fruits and veggies of similar color when blending to keep the popsicles vibrant and visually appealing. These hidden veggie pops are healthy, refreshing, and packed with nutrients. And thanks to the sweet fruits and balance of flavors, you won't even notice the veggies. Make a batch ahead of time and store them in the freezer using an airtight bag or container for up to 2 months, so you've always got a nutritious frozen treat ready to go. I hope you enjoyed these 6 healthy homemade popsicle recipes. They're fun to make, easy to customize, and use simple, wholesome ingredients so you know exactly what's going into them. Unlike store-bought popsicles that often have artificial flavors and colors, added sugars, and preservatives, these homemade versions are fresher, more nutritious, and taste amazing. Whether you're craving something fruity, creamy, or packed with hidden veggies, there's a flavor here for everyone. If you decide to give these a try, I'd love to hear what you think. Until next time, thanks for watching. If you'd like to watch more, click here for another video. And if you enjoy my content, I'd really appreciate if you leave a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.